Imperial Commander. Let's play another game, shall we? But now that we did our little fumble through with about 250 points worth of guys and learned exactly how devastating the half blast template is when you're dropping it in from off table, let's see if we can solve that little conundrum, huh? Let's see if our little tabletop soldiers can find a new way to play that won't end the game with a total party wipe in basically 2 turns. Before we throw them on the table, let's introduce our belligerents. We have the Earth Defense Force, Go Humies, and then we've got the Ikwen. The boys in black come from Rebel Miniatures. The Ikwen come from Alternative Armies, as does the leader here. He is part of the Adventurers line. Appropriate because I got my copy of Imperial Commander from Alternative Armies. The humans are all veterans. They're all armored infantry. They got the heavy helmets. They got the plates. Very simple for them. The leader has fire support. 1 round of artillery will help them each turn. He is backed up by 2 snipers. They're not a unit. They all operate individually. 2 snipers should be pretty powerful. I'm going to try to throw a lot more terrain down to negate the effects of that artillery. Man, line of sight, dropping that big template down, devastating. He's got a bolt rifle. These guys have snipers. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 6-man squads for the humans. And each one is supported by either a missile launcher or, to no one's surprise, a flamethrower. And I was a little surprised that they don't have costs for flamethrowers. I'm also a little surprised it doesn't know how to... There you go. There he is. Color's a little off. He's got the red flamethrower. There he goes. He's ready to toast some lizards. We'll see if they taste like chicken later. So that's the Earth Defense Forces. And then over here on the Ikwen, things are a little bit different. Instead of veterans, they are mostly elite. Now, I got 2 different kinds of squads. The 1, 2, 3, 4 squad you see over here, these guys are just regular squads. 7 lizards, one of which has either a missile launcher or a rapid bolter or a sniper with a laser rifle and auto ranger. What does that look like? Well, this guy here, that looks like a missile launcher to me. There's another guy. I think this is the auto gun. Yeah. And then I think this one right here. I don't see him right now. I think this is the guy. One of these guys has some kind of this guy right here. Look. See how his weapon is a little bit longer than the rest of these guys. They all have kind of Uzis. He's got that little sniper. We're gonna call him a sniper. There you go. The leader has an auto laser. We haven't seen that yet. We're gonna take a look, see what develops when he gets on the table. Now, this last squad over here, see how he's got a bone and he's got kind of like a tubular satchel charge. Let's see if I can rotate him so you can see him a little bit better. So that's with the purple and the orange loincloths. You might think these guys are crazy for going into battle wearing nothing but a loincloth, but I just want to thank them for wearing that loincloth. Nobody wants to see that. Gross. So these guys are merely veterans, and they all have machine pistols. Now, they're not all like wielding them. You can see this guy's got one in his hand. His is slung around his shoulder. So he does have a machine pistol on him, mostly WYSIWYG today. The leader here, I don't know, these little hand rockets, we could probably call that what we want. We're calling it auto laser. So what about this here? What about this grenade? 4 of these guys are packing grenades. And when you spend 1 point per dude, then you get to pick. See, here's your 3 grenades for the standard. Explosive, armor piercing, and smoke. Standard impact, high impact, and blocks vision. Oh, that's really going to come in handy for stopping Mr. Artillery guy right here. Smoke is going to play a big role. These guys are going to need to get out in front, lay down that smoke to protect the guys in the back who are going to move up. The other thing that I really want to show you here is the difference between Blast Template 1 and Blast Template 2. So the armor piercing probably won't come into play. It only affects this small area here. And I do have a ruling device, so that's 4.5 centimeters across. But the high explosive hand grenade, 9 centimeters, not 4.5 centimeters in radius. For standard impact, I'm really surprised by that. These hand grenades, I think they might just be a little OP. Take a look at one more thing to decide if that's really the case. And we may just have to incorporate some scatter dice and make a chance that they actually bounce back on you. The thrown weapons for hand grenades are listed On the same chart as the flamethrowers, right down here, throw Gren. If you roll a 5 or less, you're out of grenades. They have a maximum range of 10 centimeters. 4.5 centimeters across. That's the maximum range. So that is interesting. And then it says see grenade section to see what they do. So that's interesting. It makes sense. Like the distance makes sense, but the fact that we don't have even a possibility that whoopsie, I pulled the pin and dropped it at my feet, or it scattered. I threw it. I got shot as I was throwing, and it bounced over and hit one of my friendly allied units. These guys might be OP for 1 point. Why wouldn't you take it? This could very easily develop into a game. I guess the other thing is, and you only need a 7 to hit. But since we got these guys are veterans, they only need a 6 to hit with it. Man, I don't know. It's really going to come down to who's got the better throwing arms, particularly when you see how much terrain we've got on the table. And what a crowded terrain table it is. We must be right on the edge of where the invasive alien species is creeping into the native flora, or is the human vegetation encroaching on the alien planet. Either way, you can see we've got a whole lot of different line of sight, slowing terrain. The hill in the center will be the objective. It's the taking of Hill 803. Is that when this is going live? And then we've got some just a couple of fields down here with stone walls. The bushes here block line of sight and movement. Likewise over here, I threw some of those down to kind of channel things. And then for anywhere you see the trees, those trees we can move. That's just rough going. It does provide some cover. But the alien fauna is blocking of line of sight and movement. And I do have a little pond up there in the corner just to add a little bit of blue contrast. We're going to roll off to see who chooses their deployment zone. The black die will be for the humans, the white die for the equine. High roller gets to choose. The humans get to choose, and they are going to pick the deployment zone down here on the near side. We're going to send an assault troop up along this right flank. See, we got the flamethrower over here, supported by one of the snipers. And then in the center, we've got another sniper. And I'm going to leave this squad back here. They've got the missile launcher with a nice clear shot between this little copse of trees. They can kind of rain fire down. Scrolling over to our left, we see our leader and then another couple of troops. These are going to be the key offensive troops. We're going to have to send these. This is how we deployed them, okay? Now, these guys with the flamethrower, we're going to send them up the right. So essentially, we're just going to do everybody running up, maybe go a little weak on the center, but try to get up on that hill as soon as possible. Because the Ikwen, remember, they have more bodies. They're elite, not veterans, so not quite as good. And as you can see, I've got a squad over here. They're going to come down this way and try to do a sweep around here. We've got another group. This is the assault group right there. That group in the center that you see, they have all of the hand grenades. They're going to be the cleanup crew. So we'll send these two right up on the hill and follow up with a third squad. We got 2 squads on the wings, so they can kind of react to whatever it is that the humans do on this side. So kind of align them up and send them at each other, but we do have a little bit of tactics involved. The next order of business is rolling to see who goes first. So who gets to be the active player? And with a 5v1, the Equine are going to get the first movement phase. Remember, it's move, then everybody shoots, then move a second time. Since nobody had any line of sight, that allowed the Ikwen to make a double move, essentially. We've got 1 unit in the open. These guys have taken up positions. They're ready to fire on top of the hill. You can fire on the hill, but not across the hill. And as I said, we're going to leave our assault troops back there. Out of line of sight, they're going to be able to move up, throw their grenades, and then jump on top at the end of the game. I think we'll play 8 turns. Let's just see what happens. These guys kind of blocking all line of sight everywhere you go, at least until the Earth Defense Force gets to take their turn, which we'll start with right now. Armored infantry only move 6 centimeters across open ground, 4 centimeters if they're crossing a stone wall or any portion of their movement is in the terrain. So they're moving really slow. You can see the Ikwen are already halfway across the board. Earth Defense Force just barely getting into cover here. This unit did not move. They're content to just hang back. They'll open fire later. The sniper did. He does not have any line of sight. Over on the far, far left-hand side of the table, we do have this squad has already moved up. I've moved everybody twice except for this sniper. He is in cover, and let's take a look at things from his perspective. He has got clear line of sight from here to these guys. We'll give them the benefit of cover, making the difficulty +1. If we take a look at our cheat sheet over here, I'm going to give him a laser rifle. Now, he acts as a sniper, and so if we focus the camera, the laser rifle at a range of 33 centimeters has a 2-hit number of 6. Okay, that goes up to a 7 because of the cover that we're going to give that unit. He's firing at the whole unit. But because he is elite, that drops back down to a 5. So he's going to be hitting on a 5 on 2d6 with a result of a... That's the one thing about looking at things at this level. You can't quite make out the dice. With the result of a 7, that's going to be a hit. Light infantry versus a standard impact weapon mean on a 2 through 6, that's a kill shot. So 5, one of these troops is going to get blammed. And we could just take one off. We're doing this by unit, not by individual figure at this point. Maybe you're supposed to do individual figures, but to speed things along, I'm not. And I think that's probably the way most people played the game. Already 1 kill. The morale clock is 45, so that drops to 44. For the Iquen, the morale clock down here, remember, is 35, and that's going to end the Earth Defense Force's turn. I guess we could probably move him up a little bit more. Remember, you get the 2 movements. Maybe we want to move him so he's out of the line of sight. We're going to give him the benefit of cover, even if he's not directly in it. So the first move was 4 inches. He can move another 6. So maybe we bring him up to here, and we hope that a line of sight presents itself from that vantage. It doesn't look like it will. But again, he can pop out, take the shot, and then return fire. Now, they can return fire at him. Remember, everybody fires when anybody fires. So, again, just to remind everybody, I moved everybody, but really the order is move everybody once, and then you take your shots, and then you move the second move to here. So, having said that, this squad is now going to get to return fire down here, and that squad... It's going to be interesting because they do have the missile launcher and a whole bunch of other guys. Fortunately, I have some match dice to make it a little bit easier. And let's move him back just so we can see what's going on here. The Iquen have assault rifles, which have a maximum range of, here's this asset rifle, maximum range of 50. Up to 33, they're going to be hitting on 8s. Our boy here is in light cover, so we're going to make it hitting on 9s. But remember, they are also... elites, so that drops back down to 8. So the elite cancels the terrain modifier, and we're going to be down to hitting on 8. Now, I got 7 guys with assault rifles, so I'm going to fire matching dice here, just to make it as easy as possible. I'm looking for 8s, so the white dice are a miss. The red die are a hit, the black is a hit, the green is a hit, and the yellow is a hit. That's only 6 shots so far. I'm going to roll one more time, and that's going to be a miss. That's 4 hits against armored infantry with the assault rifle. Standard impact armored infantry kills on a 3 or better. And there's our 3 and our 4 and our 6. So this figure is removed. And snipers, I guess we probably should have tried to stay 50 centimeters away. Live and learn, huh? That's going to be the end of the turn, so I guess he's not making that second move up to this area after all. First turn is over. It's not that complicated of a game, guys. Its reputation is not deserved. There's one more thing we can do. Our boss man over here has the ability to call down artillery. He's got line of sight to that Iquen unit way in the back. To do so, he just needs to roll a 5 or a 6. With a 2, he fails. No artillery this turn. The Iquen take advantage of their first move by coming up to the edge of the trees. Still no line of sight. These guys are starting to jump across the gap 6 centimeters because they're moving through rough terrain. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our assault troops. Let's just see what happens. This unit shifts over a little bit so we don't have that line of sight for the artillery, and this unit has moved up. Now, they don't have any line of sight. The key thing to remember here is that you can only see through 6 centimeters of woods. Okay, beyond that, it's impenetrable. So I don't see any line of sight for any of our figures here on the table. So we're going to move, and we're going to move again. Being able to move 8, I got that wrong. It's 10 in the open, 8 through rough terrain. This unit has moved up. They're ready to support this unit who's moved up 8 centimeters. They're now close enough to assault. We are going to have our first assault melee on the table. So kind of interesting that that's one way you can do that. With a total of 16 centimeters of movement, they're within 5 centimeters, so we're going to get there. But let's take a look at the rest of the movement. First, our assault troops are still just huddled down behind the hill. We're going to try to thin out the ranks of the enemy first. Again, these guys are just staying in position, and these guys moved up just a little bit more. They're going to be ready to return fire if these guys show themselves, but they are beyond the 6 centimeter range, so they don't have to worry about this unit right here. It's interesting. This unit is exercising a whole lot of authority out there, as is this sniper, because of that open line of sight they've got towards Hill 803. So let's take a look at how melee works. Whenever any member of the squad is within 5 centimeters, you roll a d6 for each member of the squad, and on a 5 or a 6, they can do a thing. They can fire a close assault weapon, including an assault rifle, which most of these guys are packing. Let me just double check that. Are they carrying SMGs or assault rifles? Yep, assault rifles and knives. Except for the missile launcher. So he's not going to do anything, okay? We don't want to get him stuck in a melee. That's not his job. So I got 7 guys that I can roll for. I'm going to roll 6 dice to start, and I'm looking for 5s and 6s. And I get a total of 2. So 2 of these guys are going to be able to take an action, and then I got 1 more guy on a 5 or a 6. Nope. So 2 of these guys, and we'll just use these guys up front. They are going to be firing the close assault rifle. And the reason we're doing it that way is that the Earth Defense Force, their veterans, they get a +3. It's a simple, melee is a simple rolling d10s, so it would be a 1v1. I'd have 2 hand-to-hand melee fights to deal with. The problem is that the humans are going to be at +3 on that d10, and the Equen are going to be at a total of +1 for a total +2. Not going to go well. So we're just going to try to open fire with our assault rifles, taking 2 shots at the Earth Boys, and we're going to be hitting on 5s. Now, that's because it's really close range. If we roll 3s or less, our gun jams, that's a problem. We're only going to get hit 1 hit with this 5. We're elite. Am I getting that backwards? Elite and veteran? Whatever. They're not quite as good. The light infantry are at +1 because of the cover, -1. So, these are both 5s. So we're going to score 2 hits. And as we've already seen, the 2 hits means we roll and we get a pair of snake eyes, which means we have 2 near misses. Now, if we'd rolled a 3 or better, we would have wiped out a third of the squad. As it is, all we did was score 2 near misses. And the near miss means that the 2 guys hit are not going to be able to, they can defend themselves in melee, but they cannot move or fire until after the next fire phase. So I'm going to just take 2 of these guys in the back and say these guys are stunned. They're suppressed effectively until after their fire phase. That is going to end. And because those 2 guys were successful, they can roll again. And on a 5 or a 6, they get to take another couple of actions. So we got 1 more guy that gets to take another action. He says, well, I'll go ahead and take another shot. We get an 8 for a hit. And this time he's going to score a kill against the Earth Defender. And then he gets to do this again. And he says, yeah, I'll roll another 5. And he's going to take another shot. And with a 7, he's going to hit. And that 7 is going to remove another defender. Notice I'm saving the the flamethrower guy. He's got a flamethrower. That's not going to go good. All right, we get another chance, and with a 1, he's going to be done for the turn. As long as you keep rolling 5s and 6s, you can keep going. So you can see how melee is pretty darn bloody, but they're going to be in big trouble. By not wiping out this crew, they're going to have to eat a whole bag of fire, and that's probably not going to be tasty. Because that was the end of the Equen turn, now it's time for the humans to go. And these guys were going to lay down until after the fire phase. We'll move everybody else first. This unit over here on the right wing is going to move up just to the edge of the woods. They're going to have a shot at that unit. In fact, that unit's going to be in a lot of trouble because this Earth Defense unit also has a line of sight. So they're going to be taking it pretty hard. I've started to move the sniper around this way to try to hold off the equine over here. The equine are really flooding this left-hand zone, but I don't think it's going to be, it may not be a problem for too much longer. One thing I'll point out, we really probably wish that the equine had brought their assault squad. Remember, these guys have hand grenades. Throwing a hand grenade is one of the things you can do instead of firing a weapon or fighting in melee. They could have just ripped these guys to pieces by dropping hand grenades on them, but they didn't. So be that as it may, here's where we're at. Now we get to do the fun where these two guys get to fire. Well, they're in melee, but they're close enough. They're within 6. We're going to give them the whole thing. So we have one assault rifle and one flamethrower, which means we get to break out the template, which looks like this. It's, let's see how long it is at the far end. About 2.5, it's 3 centimeters long or wide at the far end of the cone. It goes about 13 centimeters. I think we're just going to say he's going to hit, let's just call it 4 of these guys are going to take it. And then we've got the one last shot. And well, maybe, yeah. So this is the firing phase. Everybody's moved. Now we do firing. He's going to open fire with his assault rifle. Now he does have a knife, but that's going to be it. So we'll do the assault rifle guy first. With a 3, his weapon is going to jam. It's going to take him a full action to fix that. When we go to melee round, he's not going to be able to use that. We're going to move him in and we're going to do some hand-to-hand combat. In the meantime, we've got the template for the flamer dropping on top of these guys. The flamethrower hits on 4s, runs out of ammunition on a 5. So that's kind of interesting. Even if you hit, you could still be in trouble. It looks like we've got 4 4s. It does high damage, which means I roll 4 damage dice. Anything but a 1, so 2 of these guys are going to be eliminated. The other 2 are going to be near misses. So I just pick 2 at random, lay them down. They're not going to be able to move or shoot until after the next action. But these 2 guys will now stand up because it's the end of that fire phase. We're not done yet, though. We're going to come back. Now, this is important. They stand up during their fire phase, which means they'll be available for the hand-to-hand phase. But I've got a squad over here that is going to fire with the missile launcher first. Let's see what happens. A 10 is going to be a hit. He's going to drop some heavy firepower down over here. Remember that those missile launchers, we can take a look at the charts here. The game does seem to be pretty heavy on charts, but you get used to it after a while. The missile launcher has an ability of, well, where is it? Here it is. Imperial backed, laser can't? No, that's not it. There we go, missile launcher. Up to 10 to 50, they hit on an 8, 7, 6, back up to 7. The 10 is going to be a hit. We don't have any line of sight. He can, it's interesting. He does have line of sight to this unit over here. We could drop artillery, but we don't want to hurt our own guys. So he can't drop artillery. But for the missile launcher, it does a template of, any advanced, all right, I got to pick any advanced shooty thing. So I'm going to let's just drop standard impact explosive. It's blast 3. And that's this big boy right here. So it's going to catch the entire unit in blast 3. And it is going to be doing standard impact, which is fine because it's light infantry, right? I hit them all, which means I'm going to roll 8 dice. And I think the only thing I need to worry about here is that the white die is for the leader. The black die is for whoever the heavy weapons is. All these brightly colored dice, remember, anything but a 1. So 2 guys are going to survive, 3 guys are going to survive, and it's going to be 3 of the guys with the assault rifles. So 5 of them just come right off the table. The game gets deadly once you start bringing that heavy artillery in. We are not near the 1/2 breaking point yet, but that was just the one shot with the, what do you call? You know what I forgot down here? I forgot all fire is simultaneous. So the guys... okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to return fire. And the guys that died, they have... wait, did I pull off the wrong one? I did. What was their special shooty boy down there? They had a special sniper guy. He's got a heavy support weapon. So I got to leave him on the table along with the leader. So what's left down here is a leader and a support weapon. They get to return fire 6 shots at this squad. And let me put my dice up. 2, 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I still need blue. So 6 shots with the assault rifle. And all of the same rules apply for down here. We're going to get 1. Oh, no, wait. It's a little bit different, isn't it? The assault rifles, the counter shot here is going to be hitting on 8. Because, yeah, so we're looking for 8. So there's 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits on this squad down here. The rapid bolter hits on a 7. 4 is going to be a miss. So I got to defend against 4 shots. Anything but a 1 or a 2. So 3 hits is 3 kills. And then we have 1. We'll leave the missile launcher on there. And then we have a single near miss. We'll lay this guy down. That's the counter shot. That's all they can do. You can only counter fire 1 time. Now, as I said, this unit of Ikwen down here gets to fire 6 shots in return at the guys who are just about to assault them. And they're going to be hitting again because they've got the assault rifles at close range. They're normally hitting on 5s. So we're just going to call it hitting on 5s. That means that the red, yellow, white, blue, everybody hits. So 6 shots against the heavily armored infantry. And with standard power, the difference is going to be 1s and 2s. We'll lay a guy down. So we got a total of 3 2s and 3 kills. There's only going to be 1 guy left standing over here. So we clear those guys off. But we do have 1 more unit of humans right here who can open fire on these last 2 Ikwen who have already fired. So with 6 shots, one of those guys is a flamethrower guy, so he's not going to be able to open fire on those last 2 Ikwen. That means we're going to have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots with the assault rifles. And at that distance, we're beyond 10. So again, we're looking for assault rifles they're hitting on 8s, hitting on 6s because we are veterans, but then because they're in the woods, we're going to be hitting on 7s. So the black is a hit, the green is a hit, the red is a hit, and the yellow is a hit. So that's 5 hits altogether on those last 2 figures. And this is a game of attrition. But man, do you attrit pretty quick. Now we can do our secondary movement, which brings this unit out of the woods. We're just going to hang tight right there. And we'll bring this guy up into assault range. So now we do have the opportunity to see what happens. If you are within 5 centimeters of an opponent, on a 5 or a 6, you can do a thing. Remember that which guy is this? The flamethrower's already died, so we're going to roll. And on a 5, we're going to move into hand-to-hand combat. And we roll opposed D10s. Hold on, let me just say. The 10s place is the Ikwen. So the Ikwen scores a 4, and the human scores a 2. But there are a number of combat modifiers. If you are, and this is what we mentioned a little bit earlier, so if you are elite, you're at +1. That means our Ikwen goes up to 5. But our guard, our veteran, goes up to 5 as well, so it's tied. If you're not carrying a hand-to-hand combat weapon, they both have knives. And then if you're a hero, which I think we are up to our leader counts as a hero, so I think he wins by 3. If the attacker's score is lower or equal to, then his figure is killed. If the attacker score is higher, then the defender is killed. Okay, and then if you move into hand-to-hand combat during movement, it's permitted. The attacker's figure may move no further, right? So if you move into melee combat on the first move, then you can't move again until the end. If whoever's turn it is the attacker. In the case of extreme stress, the attacker may light cigarettes. The defender may only do so if he throws an odd number. Okay, well, be that as it may, we're going to eliminate 1 more Ikwen. He is going just off. Now, on a 5 or a 6, well, a 1, his turn is over. So now he's going to be in trouble. That's the end of the Earth Defense Force turn. Maybe. I mean, no, we're into the melee phase, so it's all over. I need to stop and count my morale clocks. I think we're still okay for both sides, but let me just double check. The human breakpoint is at 16. They've only lost 9. The Ikwen have lost 11. Their breakpoint is 21. So we're about halfway to starting to make morale checks. It is the Ikwen's turn. And as you can see, they are looking pretty thin over here on the left, but they've got some stuff they can do over here on the right. In particular, it may be time to bring these guys around this way because they can start thinking about assaulting these last 3 guys. Actually, yeah, because we can bring this unit up to here, and we are going to open fire on... I guess the leader probably could have opened fire over here. Well, no, he couldn't because he had boys in the way. So let's not worry too much about that. Now, he's got to stay down for now. At the end of this fire phase, then he can get back up. I think maybe we want to bring these guys up to here. Let's do that. They're going to be able to move 10 centimeters. We'll put them, 8 because of the terrain. We'll put them just on the edge. And then their second move of the game, of the turn, I should say, we'll put them right here. So they're not going to be able to fire or be fired on. But it's just a good turn for kind of getting into position for controlling this alley right here. Fire alley is really important on a table like this. You guys, we're done with you. It didn't work out really well for either group involved. Oh, you know what? This lone guy is going to be a problem for us, isn't he? Because he's going to be... Everybody gets to fire. But I want to wipe out this unit over here. And I think that's it for movement for us. Maybe we don't want to... Oh, yeah. See, the problem is we can't get across that gap. These guys are just in big trouble from the artillery. Man, I'm a little clumsy today. There we go. Okay. Well, we do have the ability to fire this missile launcher at this guy. The problem is that when you're this close, that missile launcher radius, if you hit this guy, man, it's like, what did we say? It was like 14 centimeters. So that's the other reason we want to take this out, because we're really worried about that missile launcher. The missile launcher can go this? Well, no, because remember, first half, no line of sight. Okay. Ikwen are going to fire. We're going to do their firing first. This is the only unit that can fire. I've got 3 guys with assault rifles. 1, 2, 3. Firing at close range, which is going to make it easy. We got 1 guy who's going to have to spend the next movement phase fixing his firearm. The other 2 guys are going to land hits on this armored infantry, and those hits are going to be, we're going to lay 1 guy down. Okay, now he does get to fire, and 1 guy is going to be removed. We're going to take the missile launcher off. All right. Now that means that we've got the 1 guy that was standing there. He gets to return fire. With a 5, he's going to hit 1. And with a 4, another Ikwen is going to fall by the wayside. Now at the end of the firing phase, this guy gets to stand up. No, these are the 2 new misses. So he just took a shot this time. He didn't fire, but he stood up. Now this guy gets another shot. He's going to open fire at close range. 9 is going to be a hit. And we have an Ikwen going down. Oh, no, light infantry, that's a kill. Is that it for the firing? That's it for the firing. Then these guys move. We're still kind of hiding out right here. We got 2 units that can take that. We may need to start bringing this last Earth Defense Force unit. Last thing is going to be melee. If you are within 5 centimeters. Is this guy within 5 centimeters? He is. So we've got 2 guys that we're going to try to see. On a 5 or a 6, we're going to go ahead and get stuck in. So I should have declared which one it is. I've got, this guy can now stand up. Boop. So I actually have 2 guys, one of whom is going to take an action, and he's going to fire a close assault weapon. With an 11, he's going to hit, and with a 3, he's going to eliminate this last EDF boy. That's the end of melee. That's the end of the turn. Earth Defense Force gets to move, and they're down to just these last 2. So this is where the initiative has swung completely into the hands of the Ikwen. This last unit is trying to get up here so they can lay some pain down. I think we need to bring, at the end of the first movement phase, We're bringing the sniper over. I forgot to move him last turn. Whoops. Bringing that squad up. These guys still hanging back, still waiting. You know, we're only into turn number 3, maybe turn number 4. I've lost track already. It's a thing that happens. We're into the fire phase, and the only thing we can do is try to wipe these guys out. Looking for a 5 or a 6. We get a 1. No artillery support is available. That is his action for the fire phase. I think I'm doing that right. And then the last thing we can do is bring our sniper up, because he'll want to return fire next turn. And then these guys are going to move just 4 centimeters. We'll bring them up a little something like this. I think the writing is on the wall for the Earth Defense Force. I think in this heavy terrain environment, maybe locking these guys down was a bit of a mistake. The Ikwen have the advantage. That light infantry can move a lot quicker. They get to dictate the terms of the battle. They get to pop up, take those first shots that are so critical. And with the overwhelming numbers, I really think it's just going to be to the advantage of the Ikwen. I probably could have handled this a little bit better. Oh, you know, I do have... This guy will stand up, and I do have, now that I think about it, I have one more shot here from this guy onto this unit. So he's going to open fire with a 9. We'll get a hit that will kill a light infantry. But that does mean that we've got 2 more light infantry that can return fire at him. And we're going to get, one guy has got to just not move, so that's fine. But the other guy is going to get a shot off, and that will be a kill shot. And that might be the number that puts our Earth Defense Force over halfway. You can actually count this. So the leader is worth a lot of bonus points. Now they still have 12, 13 guys on the table. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 guys down. The leader counts as 5, so we're still good. We may be able to pull this off. We've got one guy in the woods that you can't see. He's kind of hiding behind the tree there. And it's now the Ikwen's turn. And I think, man, you know what? We probably should have kept these guys. Sweep them around here. Well, let's try and clear this guy out first. These 2 Ikwen, we're going to open fire with this missile launcher. Trying to drop it right here. So the Ikwen getting a shot of their own. They're going to drop it on the sniper, even though he's behind heavy cover. That's well, you know what? Let's check. Let's not make any assumptions here. Landing on, and you know what? The splash damage might actually hit this unit as well. The missile launcher out to 50, which is where we're at, hits on an 8, 7, 8, 9, we'll call it heavy cover even, that's still going to be a hit. And with the huge radius for this would basically anybody within 7 centimeters. Oh, look at that. We just missed this unit over here. But the leader and this guy are both going to take it. So we'll roll for this guy first. He's dead. And the leader, oh boy, the leader is... I think he's dead too. We dropped an explosive grenade on him, standard impact. Yeah, no, a 1 or a 2, because he's still armored, standard 1 or a 2. So he's going to fall down, and he won't be able to do anything next turn. So no artillery coming, but that drops this guy off the table. That guy does get to return fire. That was our sniper. He is going to be looking pretty good, so he'll eliminate one last guy, but that's not really going to do a whole lot. And then that will be the end of the fire phase. And where are we at? The leader for the Ikwen is just hanging out in the back there. Not exactly the most courageous. I think we're done for the turn. I think we're comfortable with this. You know what we should... Okay. You know what we should... No, I'm sorry, I said the end of the turn. That's the end of the turn for the humans. This is where things are going to get really interesting, because we're going to use the first turn for the Ikwen. We're going to assault this last unit of humans. And that means... we need to stop outside a line of sight from this unit right here. And in fact... that's pretty easy to do as long as we stay behind the hill. We just need to get to within 5 centimeters of this unit. We do have this guy who can move down here. You know what? I'm going to move him 8. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to shoot at this guy. Well, he's not going to move at all, is he? And I'm going to bring these guys up here. I'm going to force a difficult decision onto the human player. We're going to bring these guys up so that there is line of sight. Now, they can't shoot at this unit. This unit can see here, but these guys are also going to move, and they can move 8 centimeters, so we'll bring them up to here. So we have now taken the hill. Which unit are you going to shoot at, humans? You going to shoot at the one that's on the hill? Or are you going to shoot at the one that's about to jump your buddies? That's an interesting conundrum. And then these guys can move 8 centimeters, so I'm going to bring them over here. I'm going to bring more pressure to bear. We're kind of hovering close enough to jump on the hill whenever we have to. And then for the fire phase, this guy is going to shoot right here. And with a 6, he's going to hit at short range. He's dropping a missile with a radius of 7. Can he? Yeah, he's just outside the radius of damage, so we're just going to call that one more kill. And essentially, I think this game is pretty much already over. Now, which unit are these humans going to target? I think you got to target the hill. So first we'll fire the rocket launcher, which is a miss, so he's going to be out of luck. I have 6 more shots, and of course they're going to have to take a return fire as well. So I really think this is just about the end of it here. Man, that's a lot of 6s. So at this range, we're within 50. Okay, 50 is pretty far. You want to see how far 30 is? Hey, get out of the way here. Okay, so this ruler is 30. That's 30 right there. Okay, 6 hits up there. I think that's, 6 hits all together. That's pretty good. Then the Equen are going to shoot back. And the assault rifle is going to be hitting on, 6s. Let's see, 10s. They need 9s to hit. So they're not going to get any hits out of that 6. They do have who do they have there? They have one missile launcher. And the missile launcher is going to roll a 10. And it's going to drop down. Oh my gosh. So that's really going to be it. They did manage to drop a missile on these guys. Rolling 6 times, doing 4 more kills, leaving 2 guys fallen over, and our morale clock is pretty much done, and I think you can see where we're at. So that's all of the shooting here and here and here. Then we're going to be able to move these guys a total of 8 centimeters. Are they within 13? They are. So we move up to here, and I've got 4 guys who would like to throw hand grenades. All I need is a 5 or 6, so I got 2 hand grenades off. And hand grenades, now we haven't seen these yet. So assaulting into the woods. And I still have 4 more guys that have to follow up here. The hand grenades, as you see here, these are just the standard hand grenades that you're throwing. Okay, they're going to be standard impact blast template 2, which is the smaller one. Still really big. I'm really surprised. I would have thought hand grenades would have that. But they are shooty weapons just like everything else. And there is an entry down here for thrown grenades. You need a 7 to hit, but you need a 6 because you are elite, but you need a 7 because you're throwing it into the woods. So I have 4 dice here, and I'm looking for 7s. And I got 1 hit, I got 2 hits, I got 3 hits, and I got a miss over here. Wait a minute. I need 1 more yellow die, don't I? Wait. All right, so there's the pair. All right. So I got 2 hits altogether, which means that basically these guys, these 6 humans, are going to have to save 6 hits. And because it's standard impact, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 deaths, and 2 guys are going to fall over. And that's it, man. That's game over. There are just way too many Equen on the board and not enough human survivors left to mount any kind of a counterattack. Even on the next turn, if they get another shot with a rocket launcher, there's a whole nother unit over here. You know, we didn't do much with the leader of the Equine. That's fine. And interestingly enough, so very balanced force. Once again demonstrating the concept that light infantry are great for taking heavy terrain areas. But more importantly than that, taking the time to throw the game down on the table and demonstrate that Imperial Commander is a wonderful tactical exercise. The game is not nearly as clunky as it's made out to be. By the end of the second turn, you already kind of know what all of those modifiers are and what your 2-hit numbers are. It starts to flow really well. I'm telling you guys, you might be sleeping on Imperial Commander. Not those of you old-time grognards that have been playing it since the game dropped. I really appreciate you holding that flame alive. I'm really surprised that we haven't seen more of this on the YouTubes, except for the Cult of the New, which I'm not a member of the Cult of the New, probably because I'm not new myself. Or am I? It seems like I'm throwing a lot of new stuff out. There's just a lot of good stuff to share, including making the old new again. Hey guys, I hope you really appreciated this look at a classic of the genre. Understand a little bit better how this game works. The move, shoot, move, really interesting concept in there. Lots to explore, lots to experiment with. A lot of different things that we haven't really looked at. What would happen if our light infantry went up against like 2 squads of power armor? It would be the classic case of flooding them with damage rolls, hoping against hope that you get that one like shot at the Achilles heel of the power armor, right? And we saw a little bit of that last time, but haven't even looked at vehicles yet. I mean, there's just a lot going on here. So if you think that this episode was good, make sure you pick up a copy. It's at a company called alternativearmies.com. You can find it. Spiral bound, lays flat, nice and easy. Comes with a hard, card stock. Can't recommend it enough. If you are into the squad-based combat, give it a look. You might just enjoy yourself. Till next time, I'm praying for you.